So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for your being here so late with respect to the whole Congress. Well, first of all, I'd like to just very, very briefly talk about numbers and what Italtel is doing and what we will be discussing in this presentation. Actually, we are making virtualized network functions. So basically, we complement most of the technologies and vendors that are exposing their new things here. We are talking about this market that was estimated by Gartner last year in something like $543 million in 2017, and it's expected to grow quite significantly. So, more specifically, Italtel basically is a company that was born in 1921 and has accompanied Telecom Italia and many other service providers in EMEA, in Asia, in Latin America to evolve their PSTN, ISDN infrastructures over time, and then from 2000 onwards, we've been focusing on voice over IP deployments, both Class 4 and Class 5 deployments, and our flagship product has been for several years our SaaS switch. Then from 2010 onwards, we tried to apply virtualization in real environments. So the first delivery of our SaaS switch on VMware virtualized environment on HP and on Cisco UCS servers was in 2010. Then in 2011, we started to apply the same schemes of virtualization to other pieces of equipment that we had, the network database and the IMS core functionalities. So all the CSCF family, and then the application servers like MMTel, telephony application servers, and others. And we isolated also a functionality for centralized routing and policing of sessions across networks. Then in 2012, we delivered the first virtualized session border controller. And then in 2013, we achieved also interoperability with Microsoft Link 2013 as the first industry virtualized session border controller. And 2013 was the year of Embrace WebRTC application server. Of course, we are basically evolving the whole of our catalog, of the product catalog, in order to fully be compliant to the NFV principles. So being actually ready for being orchestrated for scale as needed. And so getting back to what actually service providers are perceiving as of today, NFV, 37% of them perceive that NFV will enable deployment of services that previously would not have been cost effective. So in this case, we think of IMS functionalities. You know, IMS has been there since 2003. It has been pretty slow in terms of actual massive deployment. Also because one factor was the inherent complexity of the solution, of the architecture, and the other factor was actually the lack of a compelling event or a compelling so-called killer application that would have triggered IMS deployments. So more and more, IMS is perceived as a technology for replacing their dear old PSTN, and also the technology for giving voice over LTE. So then we have deployment of new capabilities within this network that are not currently in service, and this is the case for WebRTC application server in our catalog. Then we have technologies on customer premises, enterprise and consumer, and technologies already distributed within the network, like SBC for UNI and NNI. So this is how the evolved communication landscape looks like if we think of a fixed and mobile access based on various technologies, which then collects traffic through a virtualized session border controller and interworks sessions and services with other environments, such as the enterprise unified communication collaboration systems, which normally happen to be a little bit of closed environment. So one thing that we always have fun to do is to achieve interoperability between different technologies, such as Cisco and Microsoft and others, between each other and also against the PSTN or IMS networks. And on top of this, we added also the WebRTC-based communication area, where we believe that one thing, of course, could be to have just a sort of gateway in order to basically enable the delivery of traditional services also to these new endpoints, but we believe much more in the possibility to extend dramatically the array of services, the variety of services through an open WebRTC engine that exposes APIs towards developers. So, key benefits of NFV and SDN have been advertised so many times. So basically this slide just resumes the three main pillars, the three main expectations: lower costs, gain in flexibility, and agility. I would say that lowering costs is something that we have already been doing in the last years through, let me say, simple virtualization of our assets. And I'll show you later some real cases that are quite significant. Then flexibility and agility refer to the ability to have a dynamic network configuration, much quicker service activation and service delivery. And agility refers to the ability of service providers to actually embrace change, receive customer expectation, variations in the customer expectations in terms of services, and have those changes being reflected in actual services that are rapidly designed and delivered. So what do we do in this game? Referring to the architecture of NFV, as Italtel has been part of this ISG from the very beginning, we decided to basically play as a VNF provider, also providing the relevant VNF manager ability. We don't have any intention to go into the virtualization or hypervisor business, but we can partner with other players in the orchestration by providing our system integration experience. And though we also have some technology in-house, we expect a few vendors to emerge in the area of orchestration, which is pretty crowded as of today. And so basically, the mapping of our catalog onto the NFV architecture shows these virtualized network functions. So the session border controller, NetMatch S, Embrace application server, this routing and policy server, and the multimedia communication system delivering all the IMS functions with the relevant element manager, virtualized as well, and the VNF manager that interacts with the orchestrator, and also we underlying Vim elements. As of today, we are working on the technologies that I show in this slide. So when it comes to hardware in our labs, we have a number of Cisco, HP servers and blade systems, and we work both on VMware and KVM mainly. The Hyper-V was just mentioned because in the case of enterprise-oriented deployments, we also are able to deploy our virtualized SBC on VMware. So everything shall be done in a really open manner, also because Italtel is not that big player, so we need to promote openness as much as possible. So now it comes to real case experiences. So the first one with significant numbers is the transit and interconnection network in Brazil of a large mobile operator that used to have Italtel-based soft switching environment with Cisco Media Gateways. And we basically in 2013 started to move our installed base to a UCS plus VMware kind of infrastructure. And this network serves something like 15,000 calls per second. And also, as you can see, has this centralized routing and policy server that basically is able to drive calls across this transit and interconnection network by basically providing a single point for resolving number portability, least cost routing, and all the other features that apply in that scenario. The second, and then this picture now shows the advantage in footprint and cost saving around also power consumption. And so this is just to say that the already virtualization per se enables a real project with significant size. Then the second use case, the second real case, is a German fixed and mobile network operator. Again, we had already an Italtel-based SAW switch, well, actually 7 SAW switches, serving some 3 million of customers. And the scope here was to basically replace with feature parity this installation, moving everything onto a few data centers based again on Cisco UCS with vBlock with VMware. So in this case, the role of the service provider was really key in terms of governance of this change and the implementation of the new network. The key elements of this transformation project are full feature parity, including local customization with the current deployed SAW switch, zero impact on customer premise equipment, multi-vendor environment, so we need to maintain third parties products which are part of the solution, and zero impact on OSS, BSS. So this, of course, is a little bit far away from the future evolution in an FFV fashion where orchestration will enable flexibility, agility, and also to extend the service set in an agile manner. But of course, so far we have seen that in order to be concrete and effective and be rapid in deploying virtualized solution, it may be useful to have the possibility to guarantee zero impact on OSS, especially if we don't have plans to extend the feature set. So basically, the services we are delivering are the same as earlier. And also the ability to have a stepped approach with allowing rollback at any time is key. So service continuity and operation shall be preserved. The third real case is a French fixed and mobile network operator. Again, we were present there with our technology, with Italtel hardware and software-based SAW switches. And in this case, we are introducing also virtualized session border controllers and migrating some 2 million of customers. And this migration is happening in these days and will continue in the first half of next year. So the fourth case is here in Germany, a transit and interconnect environment where we centralized the routing and policing of SIP sessions between IMS network, mobile network, TDM-based, the TDM-based fixed environment, and the VoIP-based fixed environment. So everything is connected and interworked through a centralized deployment based on this routing and policy server, again based on Cisco UCS and VMware. So if you look ahead after this experience, which is real experience of what is needed to make things happen in the direction of virtualization, then if you look ahead, we envisage a situation where we will have a core cloud computing environment and an edge cloud computing environment with core POPs and edge POPs, the service providers. And we believe that there is probably still need for some specific accelerators or so. Some functions are likely to be more efficiently implemented in some dedicated hardware components. We're talking about some features like transcoding, flow synchronization, deep packet inspection. So Italtel has developed a set of PCI Express-based cards that can be plugged into a commercial off-the-shelf server or into a router that supports this interface. And we can add, for instance, a DSP-based transcoding. We can add a network processor that carries out IPsec sessions and securization of traffic in a much more efficient way than what it could be realized today in a virtualized fashion. This is something that is coming and it's going to be available for delivery during next year. We have prototypes of these boards today. So another interesting evolution of our technology is what we have called the NetMesh as Cloud Inside, which means that basically we need to be actually be ready to deploy our functions in a cloud environment, and this implies that we adopt the same technologies within the product itself. So should a customer just require an SBC, I can deliver a server with a hypervisor and what is needed to deliver my applications, but the very same product is able to scale, to add infrastructure elements and to expand online. So we can scale in, out, up and down with elasticity and by basically using exactly the methods and mechanisms that are promoted by the NFV ISG, sorry. So today we take advantage of the Intel DPDK based NatPat, and we are basically constantly prototyping new evolution of these virtualized network functions in this new deployment fashion. So just a couple of use cases. One is business trunking. Business trunking is a bit hard to implement today. It requires significant fulfillment efforts because it's well, on one hand, it's inherently complex in terms of how many information you need to collect from the customer in order to enable it. And then in terms of order management and actual implementation fulfillment, it basically calls many different pieces of equipment down there. So the SBC, maybe the SAW switch, the underlying packet forwarding infrastructure, the access leg, then we can basically improve and automate also through the adoption of SDN and orchestrators this operation. So basically the object, the goal is to have an integrated multi-domain service activation through the combination of our technologies and capabilities. And this is something that we are going to arrange pretty soon as a POC. Then very quickly, I touched the fact that we are working also on WebRTC, which is really promising technology from various perspectives. And we managed to have it interworking with other technologies. And we want actually to take advantage of the ability to drive the underlying packet network. So if we need a certain behavior of the network, so a certain amount of gigabit per second, or sorry, megabit per second for sessions or aggregate of sessions, the service provider has this strong differentiator with respect to the over-the-top player. So we can actually drive, and we made some prototyping of interacting with the Open Daylight OpenFlow-based controller in order to show how we can optimize the path and the handling of data for delivering optimized service. Then just a few messages as time is running out. The first one is basically that the old times for long top-down standardization processes are definitely over. So we need to be really agile as an industry. We need to talk to each other. There is much more interdependency, and we need to be concrete by showing something that creates a perceivable value for the end user. And in order to do this, we cannot just nail down requirements and then checking after some years if everything is okay. We need to have a much short cycles. And then some indications for successful NFV implementation to keep it simple. So to address specific needs, target specific goals, minimize impacts, be agile, already mentioned, reflect technology and service shift into the organization of the service provider mainly, consider the coexistence with the known NFV world, and then hype is everywhere, so you should trust, prove, and experience. So basically the takeaway is that we do have a complete portfolio ready for NFVs, and we started to work on that from 2010. We have strong real-life experience, and we want to enable smooth migration towards NFV and boost your service innovation. Maybe there's no time for questions, but thank you.
So any questions, I think you can do it over coffee, because that's what we're going to break for now. So I have to make